All right, Tulsi-crats, Bernie-crats, Indy-crats, Greens, Nobody-crats, just radical independents, free radicals like myself. I'm Dave, and this is the Radical Independent, the channel that skewers both the left and the right, mostly the people on the left who I consider to be tribalist lefties, people who, for instance, watch TYT on a daily basis, which you can now stream on your Roku, if you have one of those. Have fun with that. I won't be streaming. It'll be RT America for me, thank you. Polls suggest Sanders may be underestimated. Really? This comes from The Hill today. It has quite a few shares here. And Bernie fans will be very happy. Look, my fallback position is Bernie Sanders. All right, my frontline position, I'm going to battle with Tulsi Gabbard until Tulsi Gabbard decides that she doesn't want to do it anymore. I know. She needs to qualify for the next debate. The reality, folks, and I hate to say this, and I've said it in other videos, and I don't want you to get mad at me. All right, most people are pretty friendly. I don't read too many of these comments, but most people understand where I'm coming from, that I believe Tulsi to be the best presidential candidate in my lifetime. She's a multi-threat as far as military service, her legislative record, the fact that she's proposed a lot of the same legislation that these other candidates are throwing out there as far as ideas go, but Tulsi's already done it. A good example of that would be the Off Fossil Fuels Act. Okay, and I could go down the list of things. Paper ballots to back up the voting machines and so forth. Tulsi Gabbard, she's my number one. Bernie is my strong number two. Poll suggests Sanders may be underestimated. Let's read this because this is about to make a headline. I know a lot of news outlets don't want to address this. The Hill has been pretty good about it. They're doing political reality here. Senator Bernie Sanders may be underestimated in the race for the Democratic presidential nomination, according to a flurry of new polling released in the last week. It's funny, that same polling, that flurry that they talk about here, also shows that Tulsi Gabbard has more support than she's had. In some of those polls, Tulsi Gabbard is actually doing better than people like Cory Booker. Yep. And a few others, other notable candidates. She's certainly gained quite a bit on Kamala Harris, who has taken a nosedive since debate number 2, where Tulsi Gabbard pretty much annihilated her. Let's just be honest, because that's what happened. Here it is. The polls show Sanders is firmly entrenched in the race's top tier. All the talk about Warren every single day, because the media, here's the thing, the media is rubbing their hands together. This idea of Elizabeth Warren, who is known by Donald Trump as Pocahontas. Okay, and if you don't think, look, I don't care if you think that's a slur or you think it's immature, it's effective. Because she did lie. And that's why I'll never vote for Elizabeth Warren, because she lied to get advantage. And to say that she was a Native American when most Americans are more Native American than she is. You do a DNA test and you come up about as white as you possibly can on the DNA test, and then you're really not all that apologetic about it. I think she finally copped to it in one interview saying, I was wrong, but, a full-blown apology. You just didn't want to admit that Trump got you there, and he did. He did. He lost on the Obama thing with the birth certificate, but he kind of won on the Elizabeth Warren thing. And I tell you what, that's all Donald Trump needs to campaign on. And I look at likability, and I look at Elizabeth Warren, and I say, no, this idea of Granny Warren having the beer and being all hip and cool and her husband walking away. Want a beer, honey? No, I'm not going to have a beer with you. I just think there are certain things that happened during the campaign that are very memorable, and that was, to me, a big-time failure. And I'm not... Look, you can't base an entire campaign on that, but you can look at that in the scheme of everything else and say, do we really want this woman who's pretending to be all blue-collar, who's lived in an ivory tower her whole life? Really? She's going to be the one to represent me, the working class guy? Nope. She's going to represent Wall Street. Yep. She's going to do that. Whereas Bernie Sanders wants to take a little tiny piece of that Wall Street money and pay off your student loan debt. Sounds good to me. Yeah, I know. Elizabeth Warren, she's got her own proposal, yada, yada. Anyway, let me read on here. Overall, the polling underlines that at this stage, Biden is the race's front runner. Now, for many progressives, I'm not calling you all out because I can do a bit of a Google search on whatever, Twitter or just videos, looking up videos of poll bias against Bernie Sanders. Joe Biden, only basically attracts old people to his campaign. I gotta tell you, his black support is through the roof. It's through the roof, and that's because of his association with Barack Obama. There are political realities, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but there are political realities that unfortunately seem to trump, and I don't mean to use that word, but it works here. They trump actual issues. So, and it's sad because somebody like Tulsi Gabbard lines up really well, but a lot of the tribalists don't want to have anything to do with her because she wasn't a Russian conspiracy nut, and she doesn't wake up with a visceral hatred of Donald Trump every morning. And she doesn't just yell out "Orange Man bad." So they have trouble with her on those things. They suspect that she's a stealth conservative or possibly working for Vladimir Putin. And they're going to say the same thing about Bernie if Bernie ends up getting the nomination. They're going to tear him down just like they've been tearing Tulsi down. And in a way, by the way, it does relate to Donald Trump too. Anybody who comes at this as kind of an outsider. Now, Trump, as soon as he got into office, kind of became an insider. He really has. I don't know what he's done for working class people, but he's certainly done a lot for corporations. And yes, there's been some job creation and some people going back to work, which I'm not going to say that's bad. The talking point from the Democrats is yes, and people have 2 or 3 jobs and so forth. Some of that is true. It's really a cost of living issue, which, by the way, has been an issue since prior to when Obama took office. So again, a bunch of politicians really not addressing the main issue. I could go on and on. Anyway, the surveys give considerable hope to Sanders. Now, this is a major headline toward the end of this paragraph, who has been largely overshadowed over the past few months by Warren's buzzy campaign. What, buzzy? Okay. There's a buzz. It's Elizabeth Warren. She's dressed as a bee. Halloween is coming, folks. Go to your Halloween store and buy your Elizabeth Warren busy buzzy bee costume. Given his grassroots fundraising and his organization, the polling suggests Sanders will be in the race for the long haul and that he stands a good chance of winning. Is this thing on? All right, let me read that again. Sanders will be in the race for the long haul and that he stands a good chance of winning. This is from The Hill, where they talk about Sanders may be underestimated. And then, 2, 3 paragraphs in? 4 paragraphs? If this is a sentence here, it's actually just a sentence, not a paragraph. They say he stands a good chance of winning. That's kind of a holy crap Batman moment. I use that on my other channel quite a bit. I don't know why. Just, holy crap, Batman. He has the money, the campaign infrastructure, very important, and an intense base of supporters, said one Democratic strategist. Does he have a tough road to the nomination? Of course. All of the candidates do. But has he been overlooked so far? Absolutely. Out of all the candidates, he is the one you can definitely say is in this for the long haul. Bernie Sanders, he's not having trouble qualifying for debates. No offense again to Tulsi Gabbard. I do think Tulsi Gabbard is a nightmare for the establishment, whereas Bernie built up all of his momentum in 2016, and most people know. I mean, the Hillary Clinton people know that Bernie got screwed the last time around. They know. So he's back, and it might be payback time, and good. Again, he's not my number one. He's my number two. He is my fallback position, and I will take him in a heartbeat over any of the other Democratic candidates running. He's got ideas that might actually help people. Throw away your ideas of what socialism is, democratic socialism, however you want to phrase it. I know people on the right are going to just, oh no, here come the socialists. What are they going to do? Give you free health care, right? Give you college loan forgiveness. Good. Give you free public colleges. Free in-state tuition. This is what universities used to do, by the way, a long time ago, until it became this big money-grubbing, for-profit type institution. Education is too important for people. If you want people to not use all of these government services, here's a good one, okay? Because conservatives like to complain, hey, too much welfare being used, too many of those safety nets. We don't want the safety net to become a hammock, right? You hear that all the time. Well, here's a good way. People who are educated tend to get good jobs, and they don't need the welfare state. All right, Bernie Sanders supports that, as does Tulsi Gabbard. So not only does this poll suggest Sanders may be underestimated, the article says that Bernie stands a good chance of winning. Wow! So, please share this video. Don't forget to support me over on Patreon as well if you can. That's linked up with my music YouTube channel. Also, you can give me a few bucks if that's something you want to do via PayPal, and I will put my PayPal email address in the description box of this video. Man, Bernie Sanders could win the whole thing. The Hill finally doing some real reporting. Good job. All right, everybody. Talk to you soon.